time, but now I think we're back on track. So thank you. Any of y'all got parents coming, or did you just like not tell them?
They all took invitation.
No, we're not ready to be there.
I handed my
Jack of the game.
I just want to make sure we're close to time with visitors.
So my name is GAlvis. I did my project on environmental education. At the time that I was planning this project, I was also getting ready to apply to colleges. And I've always been interested in the environment, but when I was getting ready to apply to colleges, I've been interested in engineering a lot more lately. So I was trying to choose between the two, and I was hoping this project would help me decide. So when I first began researching environmental education, I kept coming across that one of the biggest problems with it is that it's not as effective as it needs to be. And so I decided to research which teaching techniques are most beneficial to environmental education. And ultimately, I found that hands-on experience provides the best learning experiences for students. And most of my sources that I looked into were saying that environmental education needs to be improved because there's been so much change to the environment because of human activity that people need to be informed of the impact they have. So I completed my internship with Virginia Cooperative Extension. Extension aims to improve lives by providing educational opportunities to people in communities about agriculture. And like one of the most well-known programs is 4-H. My mentor was Ms. Rachel Rossi. She's an extension agent in Powhatan County. She specializes in agriculture and natural resources as well as animal science. So for my internship, I traveled with Ms. Rossi to various events that Extension was holding. And for example, this is a young farmers meeting that I attended. And each event was aiming to provide some sort of educational opportunity to a specific group of people. And this is a picture from one of my favorite events. It was called the Agriculture Awareness Dinner. And at this dinner, candidates running for office in Powhatan County and people running for Virginia's legislature were invited to meet with local farmers to learn about agriculture's importance in the area. And the original idea for this event came when one candidate reached out to Extension and asked if they could be taken on a tour of the local farms. But rather than just one candidate learn about it, Ms. Grossi and her coworkers decided to invite all of the candidates to this one big event where they could all know. And my favorite thing about this event was just seeing how the candidates were able to meet with farmers directly and answer their questions. And farmers were also connected with these people that might be representing them in the future, so they could ask any questions or concerns that they would have. And it was really nice to see that direct connection between the two, where they could each get first-hand knowledge. This is another event I attended that I really enjoyed. It was called the Youth Cattle 360. The Youth Cattle 360 is very similar to a meeting where the same group of people will meet every month and they learn about different cattle farming practices. And so at the meeting I attended, we went on a tour of a local farm that's been using a bunch of different practices in cattle farming that are traditionally used. And here you can see the owners right there demonstrating these water tanks he has and how he thinks they're better because there's these rubber balls, you can see it right there, that float on top of the water and they stop objects and dirt from getting into the water that the cows drink. And also through my internship, I noticed that some of the stuff I was learning actually applied to my own life. I didn't know much about it going in, but this is from a whole day where it was just dedicated to teaching people about conservation easements. And an easement is a legal agreement that dissolves the developmental rights to a piece of land, and it also outlines the direct purpose that the land is to be used for. And so it's used to sort of protect land from urban sprawl. And when I first learned about it, I was like, I really need to go tell my dad, because my dad is a farmer, and one of the biggest problems lately has been the threat from short pump moving out towards where we are. And when I went to tell him about it, he just turned to me, he's like, oh, I finished it last week, and we already had one, I had no clue. And I attended various types of events with Ms. Grossi in my internship, and what I noticed was that the information I was retaining I learned at events where I was outside or doing something and seeing things happen firsthand, rather than one set up like a classroom lecture. So it's really reaffirmed what I found in my research. For my community service, I worked in partnership with Hannah Herman to build and maintain a garden here at Beachland High School. The garden was going to be used as a teaching tool here at school for some of the classes. And when we went to Mr. Newman with the original idea for the project, he told us that Mr. Allen had actually come to him last year with a very similar project. And he suggested that we join forces with him so that hopefully we can make a garden even bigger and better than what would have been if we worked separately. So we contacted Mr. Allen and he readily agreed to have us come work with him. He teaches the agriculture classes here as well, and he founded and leads the Future Farmers of America Club that's here. I also worked very closely with Ms. Alford. She's the AP Biology and AP Environmental Science teacher here. And she was very beneficial just by providing knowledge, because before going in this project, I've never taken gardening before, never gardened, so her knowledge was invaluable. Before we moved all the plants outside to the raised beds that we built with Mr. Allen, we planted them inside first and let them grow under the grow light in Ms. Alford's room. Ms. Alford was kind enough to let us borrow the leftover materials from the Blue Ridge Sophomore Arabidopsis project. And we had hoped by planting them inside first, they would grow strong enough to withstand the cold winters that we have here in Richland. And so this is Hannah and I, the first day we moved all of our plants outside. We ended up planting lettuce, collards, and spinach. And even though we had hoped that they'd be able to withstand the winter, some of them did not make it. You can see here frost on one of our collard plants. There was this one huge snowstorm that hit this year, and it did kill our collards. But our lettuce did survive because Mr. Allen gave us the advice to put a tarp over top of our bed that would help keep the warm air inside and the cold out. And so Hannah and I have now harvested the lettuce twice and donated it to the Richland Food Bank. We have another set ready to go outside any day. And the Richland Food Bank is always in need of fresh food, and every time we've gone, they've asked us to bring back and said how badly they need fresh food, because they really need a constant, steady donation. And so it's really nice that we've been able to get some. And now that the weather's changing, the plants are growing a lot faster and more steady now, and it's gotten where we can donate lettuce about once a week, so it's a bit more steady contribution. And also, our spinach has started to sprout. Spinach was the only plant that we didn't grow inside first, and I learned that it was the one we should have, because it turns out spinach has to be left at a constant temperature for a long period of time for the seeds to germinate. So with the fluctuating temperatures we have and how the weather is so unpredictable, they didn't really sprout until just this week. And the legacy of my project is the bed that will be staying here to be used as a teaching tool for the agriculture classes. It's already been used some this year. You see these black lines here is where Mr. Allen is demonstrating the drip irrigation technique to his students this year. And it's also been used this year by Ms. Alford. When the winter storm killed our college, she sent some of her students out to gather up the dead plants, and they were able to use them for the chromatography lab, because even though they had died, they still had the pigmentation and the necessary to complete the lab. And ultimately, I learned in this experience that I wasn't as interested in environmental studies as I thought I'd been. I loved this experience and I loved everything I learned, but ultimately I thought I was just more interested in engineering because I do love science and math, so it kind of fits for me. So I'll be attending Virginia Tech in the fall and joining the School of Engineering. And one of my biggest regrets of this project is that I didn't take advantage of the time over the summer to complete my internship, because it's a lot bigger of a project than I thought it was when I went into it. And senior year was just very stressful. I would have liked to go ahead and have this finished. So that would be my advice to any of the rich seniors, is to try and do as much of a project over the summer or at the beginning of the school year, just so it's not on their plate. They can focus on anything else they need to do. Any questions? I used to be involved in 4-H when I was younger, and I didn't realize that extension ran 4-H and that it was such a bigger program than what I had known. So I kind of looked into the other aspects of that I didn't know about when I was younger, and I learned how big of a program it actually is.
So it sounded like you spent a lot of time with folks whose livelihoods are centered around agriculture. Can you give us two examples? One of a challenge that maybe existed for farmers 100 years ago that still exists today, and a challenge that exists today that maybe didn't exist 100 years ago.
Well, a problem that would exist today would actually be like the urban sprawl and suburban sprawl that's threatening farmers. That wasn't such a big problem 100 years ago that they don't have the land around them. And one of the problems that would have been 100 years ago that would be today is still maintaining what they have, like trying to have sustainability with what they're using and keeping a constant source. So one of the problems that's continued is the overuse.
Any other questions?